Welcome back to the Forensics Detailing channel. In this video, I want to discuss, we really delve into the controversial areas of life. Whether or not whether you should use 2 buckets to wash your car. I'm not talking about wheel buckets, I'm talking about when you're doing the contact clean with the wash mitt. Should you have a wash one with your shampoo in it and then a rinse bucket full of water to clean out your mitt so you don't contaminate your wash bucket with bits of dirt? Deep sniff. Whenever I get the sniff going, that means I'm thinking. Okay, here's what I think. There's a lot of things in detailing which sound great when you're new to detailing. And it's like, wow, I didn't know you needed to use 2 buckets to wash your car. And you're very receptive. I'm just going to make sure I'm recording. I am. You're very receptive to anything you're told when you first discover this wonderful world of detailing. And you're going by yourself 2 buckets. Now, the principle of using 2 buckets to clean your car, 1 to rinse out your mitt, is good, isn't it? It's not a bad principle. It certainly doesn't do any harm. Let's just get that out there. And like, if I was taking my car to a valet place or a detailer and I saw them washing cars with 2 buckets and using a rinse bucket, I would not be outraged. I'd be thinking that shows really good intent, good method of working, and they've got a little process there, a little safety step to try and reduce the amount of swirls. I thought I saw a swirl on the car, which is great. However, for people at home, first of all, if your car has swirls on it, which is, it's quite swirly anyway, it's going to need polishing. Or if you're washing a car in preparation for polishing it, then the 2 bucket wash method is pretty much close to pointless. If there are any benefits, they're very small. Okay, they're very small. That's the first thing. Now, the second thing is this is something I said 5 years ago that not everyone agrees with, which is fine. But if you're filling up your second bucket and you're cleaning your mitt out and that's getting dirty, the moment you see that second bucket is dirty, then putting your wash mitt in it to clean it out away from your other bucket might be a little bit it might not be beneficial because you're going into a dirty bucket and stirring it up and maybe putting even more bits of grit in there and all the heavy stuff in there and stuff like that. So the benefits once you start seeing dirt in that second bucket. So in other words, the dirtier the car is and the more dirt you're picking up on that mitt and the more dirt you're putting into the rinse bucket, the less beneficial that rinse bucket really becomes. You'd probably be better off halfway through your 2 bucket method. If that second bucket's getting dirty, it's just sticking to 1 bucket that's cleaner. And then that second bucket will start building up dirt. You see what I mean? But it gets to the stage where you're just like, all this stuff and all these things. It's like, really, come on. I want to keep my car swirl free and all that sort of stuff. But it's like, it doesn't make any difference. Now, the key thing is, when your car is covered in a film of dirt and you go in and start wiping over it, and I've used that analogy before, the alarm bell when you're cleaning your car, if it's all covered in mud, you're hitting it, you're going over there with your wash mitt and you see the nice clean bit from where you've cleaned and the rest of there's all dirt there, and you go onto that bit and start cleaning that, and your mitt's all getting covered in mud and dirt. If that's the case, you're not pre-washing your car properly. You're just missing perhaps the most important trick or benefit of a safe wash process, and that is effective pre-washing. So the aim of the game, as we've talked about many times, is when you contact wash your car, you want the car to feel like it's clean. So it's like, this is pointless, it's clean. I'm just cleaning a clean car. Because your pre-wash has been so effective that there's nothing on the car. When you get that, then I think you're washing your car well. Now, the important thing is your car is never clean from the pre-wash alone. It never gets it all off. You need to go over the surface You know, it's like if you think of washing your dirty dishes at home, you could never spray them in snow foam, you know, or washing up liquid, and then rinse them off and not have little bits of stuck on food there. You need to go in with the contact in your little dish sponge, you know, your dish brush, to break off the bits of more stubborn food, sometimes that you can't even see. And if you don't do that contact clean on your plates, they're not going to be clean. So it's like if you put them in the dishwasher, they're never always clean if there's bits on them. So the contact is the thing that you need to do, and the contact you always need to be mindful of. But you want to minimise the amount of dirt on the car when you go into the contact. The pre-wash, and picking a pre-wash which takes all of the dirt off of the car, is much more important than whether or not you have 2 or 1 bucket. And, you know, I've talked about the pre-wash I use. I use the Built Hamber touchless now. It doesn't have to be that. It can be whatever you use. If you've got an effective pre-wash that you think is breaking down that dirt to the point that you feel like whenever you wash your car, you're washing a clean car, you're there. So, you know, it's not about, this video is not about the products. Now, what's the last thing I was going to say? Is there ever circumstances where I would be, you know, I've got paintwork on this car now that's quite decent. We polished one a couple of days ago for my mate Lewis, and his car is now in very good condition. Even with cars like this, I would say, because I've washed them regularly and I'm pre-washing properly and I'm cleaning a clean car all the time, the 2 bucket method for me is completely pointless. However, if I'd have done a 3-day detail on a Pagani Zonda or a Ferrari 458, you know, and I'd spent half of my life's earnings, you know, half of my endeavours of my life to buy that car, and I'd worshipped it, I think, you know, even with pre-washing, I'd probably go with the double buckets. And I'd go maybe even like some of you say, well, John, you should just use 200 wash mitts instead. That whole multi-wash mitt thing's a bit too hardcore, you know. And again, it's the same principle. It's not that important to go onto your car with a clean mitt every single time. It's important that the surface is clean, because even if the mitt's clean, if it's a dirty surface and you're not pre-washed properly, then you're just shifting around dirt. So the multi-mitt thing is not the key either. So the summary of this video is find a pre-wash which is effective, and you can pre-wash the pre-wash, spritz the lower areas with APC or whatever you want, anything that works for you, so that when you clean your car with contact, you're cleaning what seems like a clean car. When you are making the contact, don't force your weight into the paint and really buff into the paint, you know, with your thing. Oh, I can see a little, need to give it a little buff. I can see a little trail of like misty water, you know, that's dried. And I would suggest you use these Chenille Noodles. There's something about those Chenille Noodles. I'm not saying you can't use other media safely, but I've tested it. And I now use them as a result of seeing with my own eyes the difference. There's something about those Chenille Noodles that makes them mega safe on paintwork. And they even, when there is dirt there and you hit dirt with them, I think they're safer than other formats, in my opinion. But your technique is the important thing, isn't it? So don't, feel free to disagree with me on that and put in the comments what you use and why and all that sort of stuff, because they can all be used to good effect. Synthetic wool is the one now that I think is perhaps the least safe. I think those synthetic wool strands aren't as soft, and they're not the safest, in my opinion. That's all the interesting stuff on 2 buckets, guys. If you're using 2 buckets and you disagree, carry on. The important thing again as well is you do not need influencers to tell you whether you want to use a rinse bucket or a wash bucket. Use your own common sense. I know it sounds obvious, I'm chuckling all the time. Just use your own common sense on what the benefits are. Think about the condition of your paintwork. Is it that immaculate that you have to go down the route of having 2 wash buckets that you've got to fill up? Or is it perhaps overkill for you Or are you really into your detailing? Is your car highly valuable? Have you spent, or highly valuable to you? It doesn't have to be a high value in terms of money. And have you spent a long time on the paint, and anything you think helps, you do. So, you know, it's very easy, isn't it, to do it a certain way and think that that's the thing to do. So just because I don't use 2 buckets, I don't need to crucify it. I don't think I've ever done that. I might have said a few, you know, had a few little smirks and stuff like that, because I've seen sometimes people think that if they're doing what they see being done, then they're automatically cleaning their car in a highly safe way because they're using 2 buckets, when it's not the critical thing, isn't it? It's the common sense things that we've talked about in this video that are critical. So that's it on this one, on 2 bucket wash method. What do you think about it? And is this video a load of old sloblock, as most of them are? Let me know. And on that bombshell, see you later, guys.